Hey guys, welcome to Consume the Goodness. My name is Kendra. I'm a certified lifestyle and weight management coach, and this channel combines healthy lifestyle with God's word. And today I'm going to do part 2 of the almost VSED story. Just wanted to do this for some mental health encouragement. So last week I talked about what had been going on while I was asking for prayers a month or so ago, and kind of just branching off of that, wanting to use my mom's story as the base for this whole mental health encouragement. If you didn't watch the video last week, then you can go watch that one first, or you cannot watch that one first, or however you guys want to do it. It's perfectly fine with me. Okay, so before I start on my mom's story, like more details about my mom's story, I wanted to just kind of pick up a little bit from the last video talking about mental health, because I said that I would. I believe that there was a part in there where I was saying that I did get to a better place and that I would talk about that in part 2. So that is what I'm going to do first before I start talking about a lot of the stuff that my mom experienced in her life. So during all of that stuff that was going on with my mom, it was really hard at first. Like, my emotions were all over the place. My cortisol levels were super through the roof. And I cried a lot, and it was just very hard. Like, I would have a lot of moments of just like spacing out, just processing everything, which I won't go into all the stuff that I was processing and thinking about, because I already did that last week in part 1 video. So I don't want to just repeat everything, but so I had a hard time. Like, it was definitely a struggle for a while, for some days. Like, I would say at least for the first week, I had a pretty hard time. So I got to a point where I really did have to where I had to make sure I was focusing on my own mental health, really being conscious of it and being mindful of the fact that I do need to focus on that stuff. At first, it was kind of out of frustration. I was like, okay, I just need to disconnect. Like, I just need to a point, disconnect. I still care about what's going on. It still matters. It's still important. But I cannot be so connected where it's affecting so many different areas. So I need to kind of disconnect a little bit. So that's one of the things that I did. Something else, it was a big reminder and also a big exercise in, like, I've been okay with in the past. Up until that point, I had been okay with realizing that we cannot control situations, but we can control how we respond to a situation. And all the stuff that was going on with my mom was definitely a big exercise in that, and a big reminder that that is true. So that's something else that I was really applying, that, okay, I cannot control the stuff that's going on. I can't control all the back and forth stuff and up and down and the fact that this is happening at all. I cannot control any of that stuff, but I can control how I respond to it. It is okay if I cry, and it's okay if I get frustrated sometimes, or if I'm confused, or if I feel peace about things. Like, it's okay to feel all of those things. We feel how we feel, but I also need to be in a good place for myself. So that's one of the things that I did for my own mental health within that situation. And a couple of other things that I reminded myself of was that this is an opportunity to learn and grow. I talk about this in plenty of my videos, and I will continue to talk about this in future videos. Every challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow and become wiser and stronger and more equipped for whatever life has to bring. So I reminded myself of that. And then also something that really helped, I would say the thing that helped the most, just all the way around, my emotions, my mental health, the peace that I had about everything, and the just being calm about things, not reacting so much with emotion every time I got an update, was reminding myself that this is all in God's hands. As much as my mom is trying to control the time that she dies, she doesn't. Like, God is in control, and when it is actually her time to go, then she will. Whether she's eating or not, if she had never had strokes, having the strokes, if she had more strokes, like, no matter what, her life is in God's hands, and when He says it's time for her to go, then she will. So that's something else that just helped a lot. I mean, really bringing myself back to what I know is true, and reminding myself that this is in God's hands. None of this is a surprise to Him, and that gave me a lot of comfort. I'm gonna fold clothes while I talk. Okay, so we have known for years that Mommy has had mental health struggles. Probably quite a few. Definitely situational depression. I would very much bet on bipolar disorder. Some anxiety stuff in there. Like, there's a lot of stuff. We have all, when I say we, I mean like me and my sisters. Okay, so for the sake of this video, and I just really in general don't like speaking for other people, so I will just say I'm pretty sure my sisters have all done this too, as far as I know, but I will just say so there have been a few times where I have suggested to my mom to talk to somebody, like see a counselor, or, I mean, no matter what, however she wanted to do it, like talking to her doctor and talking about getting a referral for therapy, or going to a church and asking for some type of counseling there or something, some type of help. And she always would say like, no, I don't need that. I would have nothing to talk about. And I realized in about 2010 that I was really starting to go down that same path. I did the same thing where when it was suggested to me, like, to talk to somebody or, whatever, like, my gosh, you've experienced quite a few things. I was always like, everybody goes through stuff and I'm not going to go talking to somebody, so it's fine. And I'll be fine. Like, I just push it down or I write about it in a journal and then I'm good. So in about 2010, I really started to notice that I was going down the same path as my mom and didn't want to, at least as far as, the mental health stuff goes. So as uncomfortable as it was, I started to really make sure that I was working on that. It was super uncomfortable. Some of the things that I did, like, it was just trying a bunch of different things. There were a few times where I wrote stuff out and I let my husband read it. It was super uncomfortable. I did not want to talk to him. I didn't want to talk about anything out loud. It wasn't just him. It was anybody. I didn't want to talk about stuff. So he was like, okay, we'll just write it. So I wrote it. And then I let him read it. And then that turned into, okay, now let's talk about the stuff that you wrote. And then that kind of led into okay, I want to try to actually talk about stuff. But it was super uncomfortable for me. So it was like him sitting on the bed in the bedroom, all the lights off, me laying on the floor where I couldn't see him. And then I would talk about things. Over the years, it got better and better. That became more of a habit for me. It was, like holding stuff back for a few months and then talking about it, holding stuff back for some weeks, talking about it, days. And now it's like, as soon as I'm feeling something, I'm talking about it. So I felt myself with all this stuff going on with my mom. I felt those old habits kind of starting to creep back in, where I was like, I didn't want to talk about it. And normally if something is very upsetting to me, I just kind of don't talk. I'm not really angry. I'm not like suicidal or anything like that. I'm just quiet. I'm just very quiet in my thoughts, and I don't want to talk about anything or let anything out. I just hold it all in, push it all down, and I felt myself starting to fall back into those old habits with all this stuff with my mom. So another one of the things that I did to help with my own mental health was to talk about stuff. It was like every day. Every time I got an update, I just went on and on and on, like venting it all out to my husband. And then I would cry, and then I would say, oh my gosh, I feel so stupid for crying. Again, like I just cry every single day now, every time I talk about this stuff. And my husband's like, of course you're going to cry. Like, look at what you're going through. Of course you're upset. Of course, the way that you're feeling, it makes sense. You're not being a baby. You're not being dramatic. Like, it's a hard thing that you're going through. So I really made sure to keep talking. I also made sure to keep going with my exercises. It was kind of a challenge. It was a challenge to get up and do a workout when all that stuff was going on, when it was all like brand new, because I didn't really want to do anything. So just like how I kind of wanted to shut down with talking, I kind of wanted to shut down with my workouts too. So in the same way that I was making sure I talked about things, I made sure I kept up with my workouts. And I'm so happy that I did, because exercising seriously helps so much with mental health struggles, with depression, with anxiety. Like, exercise is just so great. But we're not going to talk about that today. There was also a time when all of this was happening, like when we very first found out that I was making our youngest something. I think I was making him his electrolyte water. Our oldest, she was like, do you want me to do that? Because I was kind of spacey while I was doing it. She asked if I wanted her to do it for me. And I almost stepped to the side, but I thought about it and I was like, no, because if this is happening right now, and I guess in my head I was looking at it like, this is almost practice. I don't know. I'm just gonna say what I'm saying and hope that you guys kind of get where I'm coming from. But I was kind of looking at it like, this is practice, I guess, for when she actually does pass away. And so I was saying no, because when she is gone, obviously at that time we thought this was a thing that was going to happen and she was going to be dead within the next, week or two. I was saying that when she is gone, I'm still going to have to function. I still have a husband and 4 kids. We still homeschool. We still have 3 dogs. We still have a business. Like, life is not going to stop when this happens. So I kind of, I guess, looked at it as practice to like build up strength to keep going, to keep functioning for my family. I'm sure there were going to be some really hard days or some times where I didn't feel like cooking, and that, school was just we weren't going to do school for that week or whatever. So I was going to allow myself to mourn and to feel my feelings, don't get me wrong, but I was preparing myself to not totally just stop functioning, because I know that some people do that when they lose someone very close to them, and I know that that is not going to do anything good for my family. But anyway, I guess I wanted to say that stuff too, because in the midst of it all, when everything is really hard and it's really a struggle, it's still possible to find strength. And I know that if it was not for my relationship with God and, you know, just Jesus being there, knowing that he's there with me the whole entire time, I probably would not have had the strength to just, I guess, handle it in the way that I did and be able to get to the point where I was in a good place so, you know, early on in the whole process. Okay, so kind of talking about my mom's life, I'm going to try to go through it really fast. There is a book that she wrote, and I can link that in the description. Actually, I'm going to, but she wrote a book. It gives way more detail and talks about more things that happened. I'm only going to mention a few. So just in her life from childhood to, you know, where she is now. She was sexually abused as a child. When she was 16, she got pregnant. Her mom made her have an abortion. When she was in high school, she lost somebody very close to her, one of her friends who was like a brother to her. And then I'll just fast forward, like I'll skip through some things. Let's see. Her first marriage, that guy was abusive. There's a time where she was meeting a bunch of guys online. It was like a totally different group of people that she was meeting, and then she was going to these parties, and then she met a guy. And the whole thing of it, I don't remember what the actual word is or the term is for these types of people or relationships or the way that they live. But my mom basically became like his property. Like, she wore a collar. She wasn't allowed to call us unless he said. She was not allowed to visit unless he said it was okay. She did come to visit us. When she got home, she would get beat because it was like, well, this is what you get because you left. And there was a time that she actually did leave him. You know, she packed up her stuff and she left, which was awesome. But then she went back, and that was, you know, a big punishment. It was like, oh, thank you so much for taking me back. And that was, I think, the worst of all the beatings. Oops, this went mine. Because on that night when she got home, you know, back to his house, she was tied up, and he like whipped the crap out of her. So she describes it in that book about, you know, just being tied up and being whipped and whipped and whipped for the longest time, and screaming and nobody can hear her. All of these things tie into our mental health. When she was younger, never getting help, you know, never talking to somebody about the sexual abuse, never talking about the loss, you know, going through such a big loss when she was in high school. She just never worked through any of the stuff that happened ever. She always was like, it's fine, I'm fine, I don't need to talk to anybody, I would have nothing to say, which her book proves that she definitely would have plenty to say, because she wrote it all in that book. That's exactly the stuff that she should have been talking about in therapy or with, you know, somebody that who could have helped her. I know that all of those things tie into our mental health, and the stuff that she didn't deal with, it led into something else and led into something else. I never talked to people about when I was younger and like being chubbier and being teased and all that kind of stuff. My self-esteem was low. I mean, starting from about age 9 or 10, the self-image is very poor, and that led to just not getting to a good place mentally, led to really bad relationships. And it's the not getting out of it part that sucks when it comes to my mom. And that is where I took that and learned from it. My first marriage was an abusive one. It was not good. It was not good for Bianca either. But the reason that I was in that relationship is because of the way that I thought about myself, and thinking I wasn't worth anything, and I wasn't pretty enough to get anything better. I wasn't good, you know, who else would want me? So if I never would have addressed the mental health issues, if I never would have addressed any of the stuff that happened in my life, then I probably would have ended up in another real crappy relationship, and probably would have made a lot of other crappy decisions in my life. And then another thing, like just talking, I guess, linking all of this in with our physical health, not dealing with our mental health, that does affect the way that we eat, because let's say that our mental health, we're super depressed. We don't want to get up and exercise. We don't want to put the effort into making healthy food choices. We just don't care. A lot of times people don't eat at all, or when they do eat, it's just a bunch of junk. The mental health stuff really tied in with my mom. I'm just going to keep using my mom as an example. She has been on tons of diets and like bounced back and forth between, I care about what I eat, I don't care about what I eat. My first time hearing anything like that was when I was 10. And I remember her sitting at the dining room table talking to my oldest sister. She was talking about her diabetes and high blood pressure and everything. And she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to eat whatever I want. This is the only life I get. So I'm probably going to be dead soon, but I'm going to eat what I want. And I'm going to go out, happy. I'll be happy because I was enjoying the food. And I was only 10, so I started crying, and I was like in the bathroom, so dramatic, laying on the bathroom floor crying, like, Mommy's gonna die soon. That's as far back as I can remember my mom saying things like that. And then throughout life, we heard that kind of stuff. Like, she would go on a certain diet, and it would be really great for a little while, and then it would be like, I don't care. Like, whatever, I'm gonna eat whatever I want because I want to, and this is the only life I get, and I'm gonna eat what I want, and if it kills me, oh well, at least I ate, at least I was eating food I liked. Not dealing with our mental health, it does tie into that. It all ties in together. Mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, they all are connected. And when we don't take care of one or two of them, it affects all the rest of the areas, and then everything just is not that great. Let's see, something else, I guess, just always having an internal battle. She, not even just with like how I explained with the whole back and forth, I want to do this, I don't want to do this, I'm going to drink, I'm not going to drink. It's been like that for as far back, as in my life, as long as I can remember with my mom, that she will decide on something and do really, really well and just like kick butt with whatever it is that she's doing at first. And then it just fades away. It's either like, I don't want to do that anymore. Who cares? Whatever. I don't need this anymore. Or she's on to something else. It's just like zero contentment. Just really never content with anything, at least not for very long. So I would say that definitely ties into our mental health, because when we're in something, whether it's a really good, quiet place, a good, quiet time in life, or a really hectic, chaotic time in life, or, whatever, all these different areas, being able to be content, find peace, find the good, learn whatever we need to learn, all that kind of stuff, that says a lot about our mental health. And when we are never content and we're always upset and we're always picking out like, well, this is wrong, complaining about stuff, that could be better, this needs to be better, that person did this, we're not in a good place mentally or spiritually. But I do want to say, I'm not saying that we had a bad mom, like our childhood was terrible and mommy made it awful. I'm not saying that at all. She has been a wonderful mom. Like, I've learned so much from her, and I've taken a lot from her. My love for cooking, my love for writing, all of that is from my mom. I learned, I've learned a lot from her. I guess even in the stuff that I've mentioned here, with the mental health struggles, I've also learned a lot. We learn from the bad stuff that our parents do too, just like there are mistakes that my husband and I have made and will make that our kids will take and be like, okay, well, I know not to do that. And then there are the good things that they say, okay, I want to take that part. I want to make sure I don't do that. I want to do better in that area. And that's exactly the same thing that's happened with our mom, that we've learned from her, and she's been great, very loving, very supportive, and just a really good mom. So I don't want it to seem like I'm just bad-mouthing her and I think that she's horrible or anything like that, because that is not the case. And again, like I mentioned in the other video, she has, even before her mental decline got worse, she and I have talked about stuff like this, about writing a book or something about her story, or, me doing videos about this, and she's always been for it. She's perfectly fine with this stuff being out there. Obviously, she wrote a very detailed book about a lot of dark things. But the whole thing is that the same reason I wanted to do this was to help people, to hopefully encourage people in some way, or, be a reminder of how important mental health is, all that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm trying to make this not super long. Before I show you guys the workouts from this week, I just want to say that I hope that this has been encouraging in some way. I just want to encourage you guys to know that it's okay to feel how we feel. We don't have to keep it pushed down, even if it is something as hard and traumatizing as being sexually abused when you were younger, or any of the stuff, anything. Having a really poor body image, anything that, I know a lot of times, at least in my experience, there have been quite a few things that a big reason I didn't talk about stuff is because I thought, that is such a stupid, small thing. Like, what a dumb thing for me to be struggling with. I'm not going to tell people about it because it's not that big of a deal. And I know that not from my own experience, but someone very close who has been sexually abused as a child, not talking about it for years because it's embarrassing. So I just want to encourage you guys and let you know that it's okay to talk to someone. Find someone to talk to, because when you get things out, you're able to work through it. So acknowledge what you've been through and accept that this is something that has happened in my life and address it so that you can work through it. So just, telling ourselves, okay, I did go through that. It was really hard or painful or scary or, whatever the word is, fill in the blank here. And then realizing that you can heal from it. It is possible to heal from things. And I'm telling you from experience that it is possible. It's hard and sometimes it takes a really long time, but it is possible to heal from the crappier things that we've experienced. And God is going to use that to build us up, to make us better, to mold us into just an even better, stronger, more equipped for the future us. To just wrap it all up, I do want to say that without God, without the relationship with Jesus, it is pretty much impossible to successfully do this, and to the highest extent. I know that people say, no, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in any of that crap, but I'm super happy, everything's great. And that's awesome. But I'm telling you, it can be even better. You can be even greater. The joy and comfort and just all of it is just so much better with Jesus. So he's the one constant. He's the one thing that makes everything great. And he will always be deserving of our praise and glory, even when things are really, really hard. So I just, of course, wanted to say that too. Sorry for another long video. The next videos should be much shorter. They're just going to be like, my regular skits or, a shorter message where I'm just telling you about something. But anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me for this little series. I hope that you were able to stick it out and watch it. I know they're kind of longer, but hopefully worth it. And I really do appreciate all of you guys who have just not even just these, longer videos, but every single video, all of them. I just really appreciate you guys. So here are the workouts from this week for the July 1776 Freedom Challenge. And here are the Bible verses that I have read so far this week for this challenge. Let me know how you guys are doing. If you're doing the challenge, let me know. Also, some people are like, I really don't have anybody. I don't have friends. I really don't talk to my family. I'm more than happy to just help in any way that I can. Sometimes even just being there. If you guys, just having someone to write something out to and send it to somebody for them to read it or whatever. Sometimes that's really helpful. So you guys can email me at consumethegoodness@gmail.com, and I am more than happy to read your emails. And if you have questions, then I will answer them to the best of my ability. I will encourage you guys as much as I'm able to do. I will type out prayers for you guys, however I'm able to help you. I want to do that. Please always know that it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about your exercise, your physical health or eating struggles or anything like that. Just anything at all, I'm happy to be there. Sometimes it takes me like a day or two to respond, but I will always respond. So, all right, that's it. I love you guys so much. God bless, and I hope to have you back for the next one. Why does my butt burn so bad right now? It's from holding this stance. I'm so focused on my shoulders. I'm like, where did that butt burn come from? My feet burn. Will you stand on my feet? Oh my gosh, this is more abs than chest. Oh my gosh. Made my arms noodles. Let's see if I can do one real push-up. Nope. Ow. I should have started with trying that instead of at the end after my arms are